Every relationship goes through ups and downs, but there are certain signs that can't be ignored, indicators that your partner may no longer be as emotionally invested in the relationship as they once were. One of the most alarming signs is when your partner's behavior begins to shift in ways that make you question their commitment, love, and loyalty. If you're starting to feel like something is off, you're not imagining things. Sometimes the smallest changes in behavior can reveal the biggest truths. When love fades, it often doesn't happen overnight. Instead, it's a slow process, one that is marked by subtle shifts in how your partner interacts with you, communicates with you, and treats your emotional needs. If you're noticing any of these signs, whether it's increased emotional distance, secretive behavior, or feeling more like roommates than lovers, it may be time to take a closer look at where the relationship is heading. In this article, we'll explore 11 signs that your partner may not be in love with you anymore, so you can better understand the dynamics at play. Recognizing these warning signs early on can help you make informed decisions about how to approach the relationship, whether it's time for a heartfelt conversation, or perhaps even a more serious reevaluation. The goal is not to panic, but to empower you with clarity and the ability to take control of your relationship's future. So, let's dive in. Could your partner's behavior be pointing to a deeper issue? Let's find out. 1. Emotional withdrawal. Emotional withdrawal occurs when one partner starts to emotionally detach from the relationship, no longer sharing thoughts, feelings, or experiences with the other. This shift can be subtle at first, but becomes more noticeable over time. It often manifests in behaviors such as reduced communication, lack of emotional support, and a general sense of detachment from the relationship. When someone withdraws emotionally, they may stop being as affectionate or caring as they once were. Small gestures, like holding hands, giving compliments, or even just asking about your day, begin to disappear. In the beginning, this might not feel alarming, but over time, it creates an emotional distance that is hard to ignore. The partner may still physically be present, but emotionally, they seem miles away. One of the key signs of emotional withdrawal is when the withdrawn partner stops being vulnerable with their significant other. Relationships thrive on mutual sharing, but when emotional withdrawal takes place, one partner stops opening up about their fears, dreams, or everyday struggles. This lack of emotional connection can make the other person feel neglected or rejected, leading to confusion and frustration. In some cases, emotional withdrawal may be a defense mechanism, often caused by unresolved conflict, past trauma, or dissatisfaction within the relationship. Rather than addressing the issues, the partner pulls away to avoid confrontation or to protect themselves from further hurt. They may feel like they're no longer emotionally invested in the relationship, but instead of communicating this, they resort to silence or disengagement. This behavior can also impact the other partner, leaving them feeling isolated, lonely, or unimportant. As the emotional distance grows, it may lead to a breakdown in trust, causing the relationship to feel less fulfilling and more like a routine. Without emotional intimacy, the bond that once existed between the partners can slowly fade, and it may become increasingly difficult to rekindle the closeness once shared. 2. No interest in your life. When your partner no longer shows interest in your life, it's a significant sign that their emotional connection to you and the relationship is waning. In healthy relationships, partners are genuinely curious about each other's day-to-day experiences, dreams, and challenges. They listen attentively, offer support, and share in each other's joys and struggles. However, when someone loses interest, this sense of care and engagement fades away. A partner who is no longer invested in your life may stop asking about how your day went, what your goals are, or how you're feeling emotionally. Conversations that once were full of curiosity and engagement become more superficial or non-existent. They might ignore updates about your work, your family, or your personal achievements. It's as if your life has become irrelevant to them. and they are no longer interested in being a part of your journey. This lack of interest can also extend to important events or milestones in your life. If your partner forgets your birthday, doesn't remember things you've shared with them about upcoming plans, or shows little excitement about things that are important to you, it may be a sign that they are emotionally distant. They might also avoid participating in activities that you once enjoyed together, such as discussing future goals, attending events that matter to you, or making plans for the future as a couple. Moreover, when someone loses interest in your life, they may stop offering emotional support when you're going through tough times. They might not ask how you're feeling when you're upset, or may offer dismissive or uninterested responses. This indifference can make you feel lonely, unimportant, or unsupported, even though you're in a relationship. Ultimately, a lack of interest in your life can create a deep sense of disconnection. It's a form of emotional neglect that erodes the intimacy and trust in the relationship, as both partners need to feel that their lives, thoughts, and emotions matter to each other. Without that shared interest and engagement, the relationship may begin to feel more like a companionship based on routine, rather than a loving partnership. 3. Avoiding physical intimacy. Physical intimacy is a crucial component of romantic relationships, serving as a way to strengthen bonds, express affection, and create a sense of closeness. When a partner starts avoiding physical intimacy, it can be an alarming sign that something is wrong within the relationship. This withdrawal doesn't always manifest as a complete rejection of physical touch, but even small changes in how a partner interacts physically can indicate deeper emotional issues. The avoidance of physical intimacy might first show up as a reluctance to engage in acts of affection, such as holding hands, hugging, kissing, or cuddling. Initially, these acts might seem trivial, but over time, their absence can make one feel emotionally distant and disconnected from the other person. If your partner used to kiss you goodbye every morning or cuddle with you before bed, but now they suddenly avoid or refuse these simple gestures, it's a sign that they might not feel the same emotional connection. Sexual intimacy can also be affected. When a partner avoids or seems uninterested in sexual activity, it may suggest a lack of desire or emotional disengagement. While occasional changes in libido are normal, a consistent lack of interest or a refusal to engage sexually can be an indication that your partner is emotionally distant or no longer feels the same way about you. They may withdraw from intimacy due to emotional pain, unresolved conflicts, or a decline in attraction, all of which can deeply impact the relationship's dynamics. The reasons behind avoiding physical intimacy can be varied. Sometimes it's tied to stress, exhaustion, or personal issues that have nothing to do with the relationship. However, in many cases, emotional withdrawal or dissatisfaction with the relationship can manifest as a physical disconnection. When a partner feels unfulfilled or disconnected emotionally, they may unintentionally push away or reject physical closeness as a way to cope with their feelings. For the partner who is being avoided, this behavior can feel confusing and hurtful. It can lead to feelings of rejection, inadequacy, or loneliness, and may even trigger self-doubt about the relationship's future. Physical intimacy plays a vital role in fostering trust and emotional closeness, and when it diminishes or disappears, it can be a sign of growing distance between partners. 4. Constant criticism. Constant criticism is one of the most toxic signs that a relationship is struggling, and it often signals that one partner is emotionally distancing themselves or is dissatisfied with the relationship. Unlike constructive criticism, which is intended to help someone grow or improve, constant criticism is more about highlighting flaws, pointing out shortcomings, and making the other person feel inferior or unappreciated. When your partner begins to criticize you all the time, even for small or insignificant things, it can make you feel like you're never good enough. This kind of behavior often stems from underlying issues, such as resentment, disappointment, or a lack of emotional connection, Instead of offering support, love, or understanding, the partner resorts to pointing out your mistakes, flaws, or failures, creating a sense of imbalance in the relationship. Constant criticism can take many forms. It might involve nitpicking about your appearance, the way you speak, how you do chores, or even the way you handle emotions. These constant remarks may seem harmless at first, but they start to erode your confidence and self-esteem over time. When this pattern becomes a regular part of the relationship, it often leaves one partner feeling like they can never do anything right. They may begin to question their worth and feel emotionally drained by the ongoing negativity. In more serious cases, criticism can take on a more hurtful or damaging tone, such as mocking, belittling, or degrading comments. This type of behavior creates an emotional divide, making one partner feel unloved, unsupported, and disrespected. Over time, it can also trigger anger, frustration, and insecurity, leading to further breakdowns in communication and intimacy. For the person doing the criticizing, this behavior often stems from deeper emotional issues. They may be feeling disconnected, angry, or resentful, and might use criticism as a way to express their dissatisfaction or to mask their own feelings of hurt. However, it's crucial to understand that constant criticism rarely solves relationship problems. Instead, it deepens the divide between partners and prevents any real emotional healing or growth. If criticism becomes a constant theme in the relationship, it's essential to address the underlying causes of the negativity. Both partners should work towards creating a space for open and honest communication, where each person can voice their concerns without resorting to hurtful words. Without change, constant criticism can ultimately lead to the collapse of the relationship, as both partners become entrenched in a cycle of blame and resentment rather than understanding and compassion. 5. Disengagement in conversations. Disengagement in conversations is a clear and often painful sign that a partner may be losing interest in the relationship. Communication is one of the most essential aspects of any healthy relationship, and when one partner becomes disengaged, it signals emotional distance, a lack of connection, or even dissatisfaction with the relationship. When your partner starts to disengage in conversations, it typically manifests in several ways. At first, it may be subtle. Perhaps they stop responding as enthusiastically as before or give short, dismissive answers. Over time, this can evolve into complete disinterest, where your partner seems distracted, uninterested, or even completely unresponsive when you talk to them. They might no longer ask about your day, your feelings, or the things that matter to you. Their responses can be lackluster or absent entirely, leaving you to carry the conversation on your own. In some cases, disengagement might appear as physical signs of disinterest. Your partner may avoid eye contact, glance at their phone, or start looking around the room instead of paying attention to you. They may seem lost in thought, uninterested in what you're saying, or unwilling to engage in any meaningful exchange. These small but noticeable signs of disconnection can make you feel like you're talking to a stranger rather than someone you care about. This lack of engagement can also affect the emotional quality of your conversations. Healthy relationships are built on open, heartfelt discussions where both partners listen, share, and empathize with one another. But when disengagement takes over, these exchanges become one-sided, leaving the other person feeling neglected, unheard, or unimportant. It can also create frustration, as the partner who is still trying to communicate may feel like they're putting in all the effort without getting any emotional return. Another sign of disengagement is the avoidance of deep or personal topics. Conversations that once involved dreams, hopes, fears, or even relationship concerns may be avoided. Instead, the focus might shift to superficial or mundane topics, such as the weather or trivial updates. This lack of depth can indicate that your partner no longer feels emotionally invested in the relationship, or doesn't want to confront uncomfortable issues that may have arisen. Over time, disengagement in conversations can cause significant strain on the relationship. It not only limits emotional connection, but can also prevent important issues from being addressed, leaving unresolved problems to fester. As emotional intimacy erodes, both partners may begin to feel alienated from each other, and the relationship can feel more like a routine than a loving partnership. If disengagement continues without being addressed, it can contribute to a deeper disconnect and may even lead to the eventual breakdown of the relationship. 6. Not making future plans together. One of the most telling signs that a relationship is losing its foundation is the absence of future planning. Relationships, especially long-term ones, thrive on shared goals, aspirations, and a mutual vision of the future. When a partner no longer includes you in their future plans or avoids discussions about what lies ahead, it suggests that they may not see a long-term commitment with you anymore. In a healthy relationship, both partners look forward to growing together and envision a future that includes shared experiences, milestones, and dreams. Making plans together, whether it's planning a vacation, buying a home, or simply talking about where you see yourselves in a few years, creates a sense of partnership and security. However, when someone stops making these plans, it can feel like the emotional connection has started to fade and the relationship has lost its direction. If your partner is no longer interested in discussing future events or seems indifferent when you bring them up, this could be a sign of emotional detachment. They may avoid talking about anything that requires long-term thinking, such as holiday plans, career aspirations, or where you both want to live. The conversation might shift quickly to neutral topics or be met with vague responses like "I don't know" or "we'll see." This lack of engagement in future planning signals that your partner is not invested in the idea of a shared future with you. Moreover, the absence of future planning could also be a sign of growing dissatisfaction or uncertainty about the relationship. If they're not making plans with you, it could mean that they're uncertain about the relationship's longevity or aren't willing to commit to something more serious. It could also point to them already mentally disengaging from the relationship or thinking about moving on. When future plans aren't made together, it can also affect day-to-day interactions. For example, it may feel like your relationship is based on the present moment with no regard for growth or the next step. This lack of vision can create an atmosphere of instability and doubt, where one partner feels stuck or unsure about the direction of the relationship. Without the expectation of a future together, the relationship may lose its sense of purpose, and both partners can start to feel disconnected. Ultimately, if your partner avoids making future plans together, it's important to address the issue openly. Discussing where you both see the relationship going can help clarify whether both partners are on the same page, or if there are underlying issues that need to be addressed. Without a clear vision for the future, a relationship can lose its sense of meaning and commitment. 7. Increased time spent apart. Spending time apart in a relationship is completely natural, especially in healthy, well-balanced partnerships. Each partner may have their own hobbies, friends, or work commitments that require them to spend time separately. However, when the amount of time spent apart begins to increase significantly, it can be a sign of emotional distance or disengagement. This shift may not always be immediately obvious, but over time, it can create a feeling of isolation and disconnection. If your partner is suddenly spending more time away from you, whether it's by being preoccupied with work, socializing more with friends, or finding excuses to be alone, it could indicate that they are no longer prioritizing the relationship. While individual space is important, when it becomes excessive or feels unbalanced, it can lead to feelings of neglect or loneliness. This growing physical and emotional separation may signal that your partner is either emotionally withdrawing or, in some cases, losing interest in the relationship altogether. Increased time apart may also manifest in a lack of shared activities or experiences. When partners begin to drift apart, they may stop doing things together that once brought them closer, such as date nights, weekend outings, or just spending quality time at home. These small but significant moments help maintain connection and intimacy in the relationship. As these activities diminish, the emotional distance can grow, leaving both partners feeling more like roommates than romantic partners. This change in behavior can be especially hurtful if your partner starts avoiding spending time with you, but still has time for other people or activities. If they seem to be putting more effort into socializing with friends, working late, or indulging in personal interests, it may feel like you are no longer a priority in their life. You may start to wonder if there's something you're not aware of, or if they are intentionally distancing themselves. Another factor to consider is the emotional impact of increased separation. While spending time apart can be healthy, it can also lead to a breakdown in communication and intimacy. Partners who spend a lot of time apart may have less opportunity to share their thoughts, feelings, and experiences, which are crucial for keeping the emotional bond strong. Without regular interactions, the relationship can begin to feel stagnant and disconnected. Ultimately, the increased time apart could signal that both partners are drifting in different directions. If one partner feels that the relationship is becoming less of a priority, this physical and emotional separation can create long-term consequences, making it harder to rebuild intimacy and trust. To prevent this from happening, it's essential to address the issue and have an open conversation about how much time and energy each partner is willing to invest in maintaining the connection. Without active effort, increased time apart can lead to the gradual unraveling of the relationship. 8. Frequent arguments without resolution. Frequent arguments without resolution are one of the most damaging signs in any relationship. Conflict is inevitable in relationships. Differences in opinions, misunderstandings, and unmet expectations are natural. However, when arguments become a constant pattern, and there is no effort or ability to resolve them, it can create significant emotional distance between partners. In healthy relationships, disagreements are an opportunity for growth, learning, and deeper understanding of each other. Partners who are emotionally invested will work together to address their issues, communicate openly, and find solutions that are mutually satisfying. On the other hand, when arguments happen frequently and end without resolution, it signals that the communication breakdown is worsening and both partners are struggling to connect emotionally. One of the key characteristics of unresolved arguments is the sense that the same issues are being repeated over and over again without any progress. For example, you might find yourselves fighting about the same thing repeatedly, but each time the argument ends in frustration, hurt feelings, or avoidance rather than a meaningful solution. This constant cycle of conflict creates an emotional environment where neither partner feels heard, understood, or respected. Another sign of unresolved arguments is when one or both partners begin to shut down emotionally. Instead of trying to resolve the disagreement, they may withdraw, stop engaging, or give up on the discussion altogether. This emotional withdrawal makes it even harder to reach a compromise, and over time, both partners may feel that their needs are ignored or dismissed. This lack of emotional engagement can increase feelings of isolation and resentment, leading to further disconnection. Frequent arguments without resolution can also result in an escalation of negative emotions. When conflicts aren't addressed properly, they build up over time, and what might have started as a small issue can become a larger, more toxic problem. Resentment, anger, and frustration accumulate, making future disagreements even more intense. Instead of focusing on solving the issue at hand, both partners become entrenched in their positions, leading to further animosity. The lack of resolution in arguments can leave both partners feeling emotionally drained and unfulfilled. They may begin to lose confidence in the relationship, doubting that it will ever improve. This ongoing tension can erode the intimacy and trust between them, as both partners may feel unsupported, unloved, or misunderstood. Without resolution, arguments can become a permanent fixture in the relationship, leading to a deep sense of dissatisfaction and emotional distance. Ultimately, frequent arguments without resolution can lead to the slow decay of a relationship. If this pattern continues without intervention, the emotional divide between partners grows wider, and the relationship may feel more like a battleground than a partnership. Open, respectful communication and a willingness to work through issues together are essential for resolving conflicts and maintaining a healthy relationship. Without these efforts, unresolved arguments can become one of the key signs that the relationship is heading towards an emotional breakup. 9. Ignoring your needs and feelings. One of the most painful signs that a relationship is faltering is when your partner consistently ignores your needs and feelings. Relationships are built on mutual respect, understanding, and care. Each person's emotional and physical needs should be acknowledged and addressed by their partner. However, when your partner consistently disregards or dismisses your feelings, it indicates a lack of emotional investment and care in the relationship. Ignoring your needs and feelings can manifest in many ways. For example, when you express your thoughts, concerns, or desires, your partner may brush them off, invalidate your emotions, or fail to acknowledge them altogether. This lack of empathy can make you feel unimportant, unheard, or even invisible in the relationship. It is a form of emotional neglect, which can slowly erode your self-esteem and sense of worth. At times, your partner might act as though they don't care about what you're going through. They might fail to ask how your day went, not pay attention when you're talking about something important, or dismiss your emotions with phrases like, "You're overreacting," or "It's not a big deal." This behavior can be incredibly hurtful, especially when you feel vulnerable or are sharing something significant about your life. Instead of receiving validation, understanding, or comfort, you may be met with indifference, leaving you feeling emotionally unsupported. Ignoring your needs can also take a more passive form, such as neglecting your physical needs or failing to make any effort to show affection. If you've communicated that you need more quality time, gestures of affection, or support during tough times, but your partner continues to ignore these requests, it can signal that they no longer prioritize your happiness or emotional well-being. This behavior often happens gradually, and over time, it can create a deep emotional disconnect between you and your partner. Furthermore, when your partner continually disregards your needs, it can lead to feelings of loneliness and resentment. Instead of feeling cared for and nurtured, you might start to feel like you're in the relationship alone, giving more than you're receiving. This imbalance can create a sense of emotional isolation, where one partner's needs are consistently unmet, leading them to question whether the relationship is truly fulfilling. When your partner ignores your needs and feelings, it can also indicate that they are no longer emotionally invested in the relationship, or that they've grown indifferent to the emotional dynamics between you. They may be preoccupied with their own issues, or they might not care enough to put in the effort to address your concerns. Either way, the result is the same: a relationship where one partner feels emotionally neglected and disconnected. Addressing this behavior is crucial for the health of the relationship. If your partner consistently ignores your needs and feelings, it's important to have an open and honest conversation about the impact this is having on you. Without change, this emotional neglect can create a deeper rift, ultimately leading to the breakdown of the relationship. Healthy relationships require mutual respect, emotional support, and an ongoing effort to meet each other's needs. 10. Feeling like a roommate rather than a partner. One of the most significant signs that a relationship is losing its emotional depth is when it begins to feel more like a partnership between roommates than a romantic couple. This shift can be subtle at first, but over time, it becomes painfully evident that the emotional connection and intimacy that once defined the relationship have faded. When you start to feel like you're living with a roommate rather than a romantic partner, it typically means that the relationship has become more functional than emotional. The daily interactions may center around mundane tasks like cooking meals, cleaning, and managing household responsibilities, things you would do with a roommate, not someone with whom you share a deep, romantic bond. Conversations may become limited to practical topics, such as what needs to be done around the house or coordinating schedules, with little to no attention given to emotional or personal matters. This sense of being roommates can manifest in several ways. For example, physical affection, like holding hands, hugging, or kissing, may become rare, leaving you feeling emotionally neglected. There may be no real connection in your day-to-day exchanges, and you may start to feel as though you and your partner are simply coexisting rather than sharing a life together. You might go to bed at different times, avoid spending quality time together, and feel like two people living parallel lives rather than a united couple. Another aspect of this roommate feeling is the absence of emotional intimacy. Partners in romantic relationships typically share their thoughts, dreams, and concerns with each other, offering a sense of support and closeness. However, when the relationship begins to feel like a roommate situation, emotional exchanges become rare. Your partner may no longer show interest in your feelings or experiences, and the bond that once united you emotionally starts to erode. The lack of shared personal moments, deep conversations, or emotional support can leave both partners feeling like strangers, even though they are living under the same roof. The roommate dynamic can also create a sense of loneliness. Instead of feeling like a team working together toward shared goals and experiences, you might feel isolated, as though you're living alone while being in a relationship. This loneliness stems from the absence of the connection that makes a romantic relationship unique: intimacy, emotional support, and mutual care. The absence of a romantic spark or effort to nurture the relationship can make both partners feel stuck in a routine. Without a sense of love and affection, a relationship can start to feel like a partnership based solely on practicality, more like two people fulfilling obligations than two people sharing a fulfilling life. Over time, this can lead to feelings of resentment, as one or both partners may begin to question whether they are truly being seen, valued, and loved in the relationship. If you're feeling like a roommate rather than a partner, it's important to address the issue directly. A relationship should be a place of emotional connection and shared experiences, not just cohabitation. Reigniting the emotional intimacy, affection, and communication that once defined the relationship can help shift it back from a roommate dynamic to a partnership where both partners feel loved, heard, and valued. Without these efforts, the relationship risks becoming a stagnant, disconnected bond, leaving both partners feeling unfulfilled. 11. Secretive behavior or hiding things from you. Secretive behavior or hiding things from a partner is one of the clearest indicators that something is wrong in a relationship. Trust is the foundation of any healthy partnership, and when one person starts keeping secrets or acting covertly, it suggests a breakdown in that trust. While everyone is entitled to privacy and personal space, consistent secrecy or dishonesty can signal that a partner is no longer emotionally invested or may be trying to distance themselves. One of the most common forms of secretive behavior is when a partner becomes overly protective of their phone, computer, or social media accounts. If they suddenly become defensive when you ask about their day or avoid answering questions about certain aspects of their life, it may be a sign that they are hiding something from you. They might avoid conversations about their whereabouts, who they've been spending time with, or any recent activities. This evasiveness often leads to feelings of suspicion and doubt, as the secrecy creates a sense that something is being concealed, whether it's about their feelings, actions, or intentions. Another example of secretive behavior is when a partner stops sharing personal thoughts or experiences with you. In the past, they may have told you about their day, their challenges at work, or their concerns. But now they become closed off or vague about important aspects of their life. This withdrawal of information can make you feel shut out or unimportant, as if your partner no longer values your emotional connection or sees you as a trusted confidant. Hiding things from you may also extend to material items or interactions. For instance, a partner might secretly make purchases, hide credit card statements, or keep things from you that used to be shared openly. This secrecy can be related to financial issues, personal habits, or even personal relationships that they feel you would disapprove of or that they don't want to confront. The lack of transparency makes it difficult to build trust and causes tension in the relationship. In some cases, secretive behavior is a red flag for deeper issues, such as emotional withdrawal or even infidelity. If a partner is withholding details, it could indicate that they are emotionally or physically involved with someone else, or that they are considering ending the relationship without being open about their feelings. Instead of discussing concerns or issues within the relationship, they may choose to hide them, leaving the other partner in the dark about what is really going on. The emotional impact of secretive behavior is profound. It leads to anxiety, self-doubt, and a loss of trust. When someone you care about is hiding things from you, it undermines the sense of security and openness that should be central to the relationship. It creates a gap between the two of you, where one partner feels like they're being kept in the dark while the other operates behind closed doors. Over time, this secrecy erodes the intimacy and emotional connection that once existed, making it harder to rebuild trust. If you notice secretive behavior in your relationship, it's essential to address it directly. Open and honest communication is key to resolving any issues that arise. If your partner is unwilling to be transparent or dismisses your concerns, it may be a sign that they are emotionally withdrawing or no longer invested in the relationship. Without transparency and trust, a relationship cannot thrive, and the lack of openness can ultimately lead to its decline.